Mr. Adrian Cole had taught literature for 22 years, long enough to believe he understood students the way sailors understood the sky. Loud ones were storms, impossible to ignore. Average ones were drifting clouds, predictable and safe. Quiet ones, he believed, were empty skies. Nothing coming, nothing waiting, nothing worth watching. That was how he saw Evan Moore. Evan sat in the third row by the window, the same seat every day. His shoulders were always slightly hunched, as though he were trying to make himself smaller. His eyes rarely lifted from his desk, and when they did, they seemed to look past people rather than at them. He never raised his hand, never complained, never smiled. When called upon, his answers came a voice so soft it sounded apologetic for existing. Most teachers would have tried harder, asked questions, dug deeper. Mr. Cole didn't. Evan's essays were short, cautious, and neatly written. They never took risks. They never demanded attention. Mr. Cole skimmed them quickly, searching for obvious brilliance and finding none, at least none that shouted. Potential unused, he once muttered, flipping through Evan's paper and writing C- at the top without reading past the first paragraph. To Mr. Cole, Evan represented everything he had grown tired of in modern classrooms. Students who didn't try hard enough, who hid behind silence, who expected teachers to drag effort out of them. He had no patience left for whispers in a world that rewarded confidence. One afternoon, after Evan failed to submit a major assignment, something in Mr. Cole finally snapped. "You can't keep hiding," he said sharply, his voice echoing across the room. "Silence is not effort. If you don't care about your future, don't expect me to care either." The class froze. Chairs creaked as students shifted uncomfortably. A girl in the front row bit her lip. Another student stared at the floor. No one laughed. No one spoke. Evan didn't respond. He didn't defend himself. He didn't explain. He only nodded once, eyes locked on his desk, as if accepting a punishment he believed he deserved. Mr. Cole felt justified. That's reality, he told himself later. Life doesn't reward quiet. From that day on, Evan became invisible in a harsher way. Not just ignored, but dismissed. Mr. Cole stopped calling his name altogether. Evan might as well have been a chair or a shadow on the wall. 2 weeks later, Evan stopped coming to class. At first, no one noticed. On the third day, the attendance system flagged him absent. On the fifth, the counselor sent a generic email asking if anyone had seen him. Mr. Cole skimmed it and moved on. Students disappear sometimes, he thought. Transfers, dropouts, excuses. Then, one Friday afternoon, after the final bell rang and the classroom emptied, Mr. Cole noticed something unusual on Evan's desk. An envelope, plain, white, no stamp, just his name written neatly across the front. Mr. Adrian Cole. For reasons he couldn't explain, Mr. Cole hesitated. The classroom was silent, bathed in late afternoon sunlight. Dust floated lazily in the air. The envelope felt heavier than it should have when he picked it up. He almost tossed it into his briefcase, unread. Almost. Instead, he sat down and opened it. The handwriting inside the envelope was careful and deliberate, as though each word had been rehearsed before being written. Dear Mr. Cole, I'm sorry I never learned how to speak loudly. I tried, but my voice never learned how to stay. Mr. Cole frowned slightly and continued reading. You once said silence is not effort. I understand why you think that. Most people do, but I need you to know I was trying. Every day, his chest tightened. When my mother died 2 years ago, the house became very quiet. My dad worked nights, and my little sister cried herself to sleep. Someone had to stay strong. Someone had to listen. Mr. Cole paused. He had never known Evan had a sister, never known his mother was gone. I learned that listening was safer than speaking. Listening didn't start arguments. Listening didn't make things worse. The words cut deeper than Mr. Cole expected. In your class, I love the stories. I read every book twice, sometimes 3 times. I wrote more than I turned in, but I erased the parts that felt too much. I didn't want to waste your time. Mr. Cole's fingers tightened around the paper. The day you said you didn't care if I didn't care, that was the day I realized something. I wasn't invisible because I was quiet. I was invisible because no one was listening. His throat went dry. I'm not coming back to school. Not because of you alone. Life has been heavy for a long time. I just wanted you to know that I heard everything you taught us, even the things you didn't mean to teach." The final lines were written smaller. "Thank you for showing me that words matter, even the ones we don't think about. Evan." The paper slipped slightly in Mr. Cole's hands. Time stopped. Memories flooded in. Papers skimmed too quickly. Names forgotten. Quiet children mistaken for empty ones. He remembered Evan's seat by the window. How he always stayed until the bell rang. How he never once caused trouble. And how Mr. Cole never once asked him why. That night, Mr. Cole went home and did something he hadn't done in years. He cried. The next morning, Mr. Cole stood outside the counselor's office before the building officially opened. "I need Evan Moore's address," he said, urgency breaking through his usual composure. The counselor hesitated. "Mr. Cole, Evan withdrew yesterday. His father signed the papers." "Where did he go?" She sighed. "We don't always know. Some families move. Some students disappear into responsibilities." That word, disappear, hit hard. Mr. Cole used his sick leave and drove across town using the outdated address on file. The house was small, paint peeling, curtains drawn. A man answered the door, tired eyes, work-worn hands. "I'm Evan's teacher," Mr. Cole said softly. "I just want to talk to him." The man swallowed. "Evan's working now. 2 jobs. Helps with his sister. Says school wasn't for him." Mr. Cole nodded. "May I give him something?" He handed over a folder. Inside were Evan's essays. Everyone reread, marked carefully. "Your insight is powerful. You understand silence better than most writers ever do. This voice matters." The man stared. "He never said he was good at school. He was," Mr. Cole said. "I just didn't say it soon enough." Weeks passed. Mr. Cole changed. He waited. He listened. He learned. At term's end, an envelope appeared in his mailbox. "I'm still quiet, but I'm not done writing. Evan." Mr. Cole smiled through tears. Years later, Mr. Adrian Cole stood before a new class, older now, gentler. On the wall behind him hung a framed letter. Evan's letter. On the first day of every year, he told his students, "The quietest voice in a room is often carrying the heaviest story." Some nodded. Some didn't understand. But a boy in the 3rd row by the window looked up. Mr. Cole noticed his trembling hands, his lowered eyes, and this time he listened. After class, the boy lingered. He placed an envelope on the desk. Plain, white, Mr. Cole's name written neatly across the front. His breath caught, because this time he hadn't opened it yet. "Don't forget to like and comment." Mr. Adrian Cole stared at the envelope long after the classroom emptied. It was plain, white, unassuming, yet it felt impossibly heavy. His name, Mr. Adrian Cole, was written across the front in careful handwriting, almost identical to Evan's from years ago. The resemblance sent a chill through him. For a moment, he didn't move. He didn't breathe. The quiet of the room pressed in around him, thick and familiar, like a memory he couldn't escape. He sat down slowly. For years, he had told himself he had learned his lesson, that he listened now, that he waited, that he paid attention to the quiet ones. But as he held the envelope, doubt crept in. Had he really changed, or had he simply become better at believing he had? The boy, Noah, according to the attendance sheet, had been sitting in that same 3rd row seat by the window for weeks. Quiet, withdrawn, always writing, never speaking. Mr. Cole had noticed him, yes. But noticing wasn't the same as understanding. And understanding, he had learned too late once before, required courage. Mr. Cole opened the envelope. Inside was a folded sheet of paper. The handwriting was smaller than Evan's had been, tighter, as if afraid to take up too much space. "Dear Mr. Cole, you say the quietest voice carries the heaviest story. I hope that's true." Mr. Cole swallowed. "I want to speak in your class so many times. I practice the words in my head over and over. But when the moment comes, my throat closes. I'm scared that if I speak, I'll say the wrong thing, or worse, nothing at all." His chest tightened. "My mom says I'm too sensitive. My dad says I need to be tougher. At home, I try not to be noticed. At school, I try to disappear. Writing is the only place I don't feel invisible." Mr. Cole leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. I heard about Evan more. People still talk about him here. They say you helped him find his voice. I was hoping maybe you could help me too. The final line was written faintly. I don't need to be loud. I just don't want to be lost. Mr. Cole closed his eyes. The room felt unbearably still. Years ago, he had received a letter too late. Too late to speak kinder words. Too late to stop a boy from leaving. Too late to undo the damage silence could cause when misunderstood. But this time, the letter had arrived before the disappearance. Mr. Cole stood up abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. He walked to the window, staring out at the empty courtyard where students had laughed only minutes earlier. He thought of Evan, working 2 jobs, carrying responsibilities no teenager should have carried alone. He thought of how close he had come to never knowing the truth. And now, here was Noah, waiting, trusting. Mr. Cole returned to his desk, picked up a pen, and did something he had never done before. He wrote back. The next morning, Noah arrived early, as usual. He took a seat by the window and opened his notebook, shoulders hunched, eyes down. A folded envelope waited on his desk. He froze. Slowly, he picked it up. Inside, written in steady ink, were words that made his hands tremble. Dear Noah, thank you for trusting me with your story. You are not invisible here. You never were. Noah read on. You don't need to speak until you're ready. Your voice already exists in your thoughts, your writing, your kindness. When you decide to share it, I will be listening. Tears blurred Noah's vision. Let's start small. After class today, I'd like to read something you've written, only if you want to. Noah folded the letter carefully and tucked it into his notebook like something precious. For the first time in a long while, he felt seen. Weeks passed. Noah stayed after class on Thursdays. At first, he only handed Mr. Cole pages without speaking. Short stories, fragments, thoughts scribbled in the margins. Mr. Cole read every word slowly, thoughtfully, offering gentle feedback, never rushing, never dismissing. Noah began to breathe easier. One afternoon, without realizing it, he spoke. Just one sentence. But it echoed louder than any raised hand ever had. Mr. Cole didn't interrupt. He didn't rush to praise. He simply nodded, letting the moment exist. And Noah smiled. At the end of the year, the school announced another literary showcase. Anonymous submissions. Mr. Cole didn't ask Noah to participate. He waited. 3 days before the deadline, an envelope appeared on his desk. Plain, white, no name. Inside was a story titled, The Space Between Silence. Mr. Cole knew immediately who had written it. The night of the showcase, the auditorium filled with students, parents, and teachers. When the story was read aloud, the room grew quiet, not empty quiet, but listening quiet. The words spoke of fear, invisibility, and hope, of being quiet in a loud world, of teachers who listen and voices that don't need a shout to matter. Applause erupted. Noah sat in the audience, hands shaking, heart racing. Mr. Cole watched him from across the room, and for the first time, he knew, truly knew, that the cycle had been broken. Later that night, Mr. Cole returned to his classroom. He looked at the wall. 2 framed letters hung there now, Evan's and Noah's. He added a small plaque beneath them. Silence is not absence. It is waiting. As he turned off the lights, he noticed something on the desk. Another envelope. Plain, white. This one wasn't addressed to him. It was addressed simply to whoever listens next. Mr. Cole stopped, picked it up, and wondered how many voices were still waiting to be heard. The final bell of the school year rang softer than usual. Not because it was quieter, but because Mr. Adrian Cole was listening differently now. The classroom emptied slowly, laughter echoing down the hallways, lockers slamming shut, footsteps fading into summer freedom. Mr. Cole remained at his desk, fingers resting on the wood, eyes drifting toward the 3rd-row seat by the window. Noah's seat. It was empty now, but no longer felt invisible. For the first time in his career, Mr. Cole realized something unsettling and beautiful all at once. A classroom never truly empties. Every word spoken, or swallowed, lingers in the air long after the students leave. He stood and walked between the rows, memories following him like shadows. Evan Moore had once sat here. Noah had sat there, and countless others, whose names he might never know. Quiet students, invisible students, students who carried entire worlds inside them while teachers rushed past, chasing noise instead of meaning. Mr. Cole stopped at his desk and opened the bottom drawer. Inside lay the envelopes, carefully preserved. 2 framed letters hung on the wall, but these were the originals. Creased, smudged, real. Evan's handwriting still felt heavier. My silence was never emptiness. Noah's letter felt gentler, but no less powerful. I don't need to be loud. I just don't want to be lost. Mr. Cole closed the drawer and sat down. For years, he had believed teaching was about control, order, discipline, participation measured by raised hands and confident voices. But the truth had arrived quietly. Teaching was about witnessing. That afternoon, Mr. Cole attended the Literary Showcase Committee meeting. Administrators discussed expanding the program. More categories, more performances, more applause. When I asked for suggestions, Mr. Cole cleared his throat. I think, he said slowly, we should add something different. They looked up. A space, he continued, for students who don't want applause. No stage, no crowd, just a room, a reader, a listener. Silence followed, then a nod, then another. No one argued. On the last day of term, Noah lingered by the classroom door. Mr. Cole noticed immediately. You don't have to hurry, he said gently. Noah stepped inside, holding his notebook close to his chest. I just want to say thank you, he murmured. Mr. Cole smiled. For what? For not rushing me, Noah said. For not thinking quiet meant empty. Mr. Cole felt something tighten behind his eyes. You did the hard part, he replied. You trusted someone with your words. Noah hesitated, then added, I used to think my voice didn't matter because it wasn't loud. Mr. Cole shook his head. Some of the strongest voices whisper. They just need someone willing to lean in. Noah nodded, absorbing every word. As he turned to leave, he paused. Mr. Cole, yes. Do you think Evan ever forgave you? The question landed softly, but it struck deep. Mr. Cole considered it carefully. I don't know, he said honestly, but I think he hoped I'd do better next time. Noah smiled. Then you did. And with that, he left. Summer arrived quietly. Mr. Cole spent it reading student work, old journals, letters never sent. He rewrote lesson plans, removed penalties for silence, added time for reflection, built pauses into his teaching, allowing space for thoughts to form. When the new school year began, his classroom looked the same, but it felt different. On the first day, he stood before a room full of unfamiliar faces. Some confident, some restless, some already shrinking into themselves. He held up a single envelope. Plain, white. No matter how loud or quiet you are, he said, this classroom is a place where your voice matters, even if it takes time to find it. He placed a small box on his desk. If you ever need to speak without speaking, he added, write to me. No one laughed. No one whispered. They listened. Years later, long after Mr. Cole retired, the letters remained. Students still spoke of the quiet teacher who noticed the quiet ones, of the classroom where silence wasn't punished but understood. Evan Moore went on to publish his writing. Noah became an editor. Neither spoke loudly about their past, but their words reached thousands. And somewhere between the lines, a teacher lived on. The final bell rang again, this time from Mr. Cole. He packed his desk slowly. Before leaving, he turned to the wall one last time. 2 framed letters. One truth beneath them. Silence is not absence. It is waiting. He turned off the light, closed the door, and somewhere, in another classroom, a quiet student picked up a pen, finally believing their voice would be heard. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling stories.